Hello, internet passersby. Welcome back to Napcast. As always, I'm Ramon Torres. Join me once again today is Sean. And Melina. Shut the fuck up.
Do it.
What's up, my spooky bodies?
Pumpkin parties.
So yeah, today it's not another Halloween. This is coming out first.
This is the first
This is the first one. We recorded these in order totally.
I'm pretty sure we recorded all last year's out of order anyway.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Tradition.
Don't talk about it. Yeah.
Tradition.
Welcome to Spooky Month.
Spooky month.
Spooky month.
We're
Yeah.
not doing what we did last year
Because we were insane.
Fuck that.
We were exhausted by the end of it. Never again.
I have a headache just thinking about it.
Oh.
And yet we still watched 4 movies.
And yet we still watched 4 movies.
We did the same amount of prep just for less episodes.
Yeah.
What is wrong with us?
I do feel like there's a lot less like high-strung energy this time though.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
feel any pressure this episode to be completely professional.
Yeah.
What?
We still got like I think because we're more experienced now. We've been doing Anime Lane for a year and a half. That we went and done like a really good discussion on Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Dracula, which is what's going to be coming out next 2 weeks from now.
Stay tuned.
Look forward to that.
So I think even without really trying, we're at a point where we can, you know, get a good conversation out of it. And I think it helps that live action's all within our own wheelhouse, so there's some more elevated conversation can happen as well. Sometimes Anime Lane can just be me going, hey, so this is really cool because of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And we just sort of react to it,
Yeah,
which is, you know, educational.
Which is just
awful,
like,
but
that's neat.
Oh, that's neat. Oh,
Which
that's
is
neat.
always a little...
You should get a that's
me.
neat button. That's neat.
that's neat.
That's neat.
So yeah, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about some spooky stories. We
Could be creepypasta, could be not
urban
creepypasta.
legends, could be anything. We did urban legend episodes last year. We did creepypastas.
We did creepypasta,
Yeah.
We've done conspiracy theories before as well, and so it was like
Those were long episodes as
those were
well.
long episodes, and so we just kind of. I had said, you know, let's not pick one in particular. Let's just all pick something and bring it to the table, rather than having like a set thing and kind of being a bit limited. So as long as it fit the vibe, then you know, bring it along and we'll talk about it. So I don't know who wants to.
I do not want to go
start.
first.
Do we all want to talk about what we brought before we?
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
there's a natural order.
Yeah. So I brought one called "The Man from Torred," which is sort of an urban legend / unsolved now solved mystery.
Oh.
So I have a thread that's both the story and the solution, so to speak.
Yeah. The answer
The answer
to the
what-
question.
You know, what actually happened type thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's mine. Who wants to?
I picked Tet the Caver,
Nice.
Nice.
which is a creepypasta about a guy that goes in a cave
one of the
and-
earliest creepy.
Yeah, that's an
Yes.
old one.
and then shit goes down.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
That's it.
And my one I feel like is sort of different, as my one's like all about Lavender Town and stuff, but that's sort of a collection of just creepy stuff around Lavender Town. As I researched, they're all kind of very short, which is why I don't want to go first. I kind of want to leave that as just maybe sort of things to end off. sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility mine will be very sporadic in the way I explain them all, because one, that's how I talk, and two, they're sort of an anthology, a little like, collection sort of thing. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I think with yours being the first creepypasta or first piece of internet, well, not the first piece of internet.
It's the earliest in the timeline.
Yeah, I think, well, technically mine's a little earlier, but I think internet one fits
Yes.
first.
It's a good starting point.
Yeah. So this creepypasta was basically posted in like diary updates. So this guy.
Sort of
Very
blog posts.
Yeah.
Web 1.0.
Yes.
Yeah.
I looked at the original website. Was like, that's a lot of words. So I found a summary and then I summarized the summary. So that's what we'll be
that's how
looking
we
at
do it here.
today.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Too bad. I ain't gonna read them. So the first diary entry is listed for I have to think of months because I don't know my months.
You don't know months.
No.
What? Show
March
me
23rd.
Okay.
That's my birthday month. How dare you?
Well, it's not mine. That's why.
How do you not know? It's 3. Like, that's so early.
Yeah.
I know 1, 2, 11, and 12. Oh, and 8.
1,
I also know
2,
8.
11, and 12.
I feel like I'm back to the fucking Thursday is 21 conversation. I'm gonna have
No. I don't understand this shit.
I know January, February, November, December, and August. That's it.
Why August?
The fuck
Why
is wrong
August?
Because
with
I had
you?
to fill out so many forms when I moved here that I had to learn that August was the 8th because I arrived on the
Did you not write down dates like that before?
No.
Not like you didn't learn this in school.
Yeah, I did. I was just really bad at it.
You weren't forced to write down the date every single day at school.
Oh, no, I just wrote them out fully.
The fuck is wrong with you?
I feel like that means you should know them more.
No, but I wrote down, like,
She means
letters.
like 23rd of August.
yes, I would do
Oh.
23rd of August.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we were always like
In the
day,
corner.
month, year, like
Yeah, and like the numbers.
yeah, number
Yeah.
slash number slash number.
Yeah, no, at some point, they just assumed you knew, and I was like, no.
I don't know.
And so I was just kind of stuck, like, well, I guess everyone assumes I know, so
So you
I'm
can't,
not going to ask.
off the top of your head, you can't name the months of
No.
the year.
So many jobs revolve around understand computers. Do you have your computer set to display the
Yes.
written out?
And you can't
No,
read
no,
it.
wait, no,
You-
actually, I have it like this. Because
But you can't read
But
it.
you can't read it.
No, because I generally know what month I'm living in.
Is this the creepypasta?
I feel like I feel like this is the creepy part.
That's
yeah, okay,
scary.
never mind. No, I
January,
just
February, March, April, May, June, July, August,
I-
September, October, November, December.
I can name them like that, but if you ask me what's the 7th, I would have to count them.
Bruh, it's July.
I will
Good on
state
July.
I will state I'm not this bad. But when I was a kid, specifically May through August, I had trouble with
Okay,
getting the numbers.
I can
like,
kind of get that.
I can do it now though.
Yeah,
because I
name a
fucking
month.
learned.
April.
4.
Oh, that's good.
Name the 6th month.
It's
Do it.
June.
June.
I don't know. I have to do the math. I also don't know how many days each month has.
There are 12 months, and you have to do the math.
Yes.
I will state, off the top of my head, knowing like which month has like 31 days and 30 days, I can have trouble with.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
That is so pointless to know off the top of your head.
I know, but like school made me feel dumb for not knowing.
Yeah,
yeah,
same,
true.
same.
So I can understand that.
There's another issue there.
But like that's a rift apart. There's a chasm in between those two problems.
I disagree.
Spooky month, everybody.
Yeah, it's spooky.
October? It's 10.
You stupid child.
It's 10. Like, even if you have to add it up, like, I have categorizations or I have ways of, like, converting it really quickly in my head.
I do for a lot of things, but
I
not
just
for
know
months.
at this point.
I just know it, but sometimes there's, like, a way of, like, I'll categorize it into the general, like, seasons.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it'll be, like,
I can do that,
how
yeah.
far away from the end or beginning of the year it is.
Yeah, like in my head, like December, January, February, winter.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like if everybody's the same or if I'm just like
yeah.
you sort of different in that, but it's like in 3-month blocks.
Yeah, it's just whatever neural pathway in my brain triggers faster. Like,
Yeah, exactly. The bottom line is it's fucking easy. How can you not do that?
I don't know. I think, like, my theory has been I missed one day of middle school, and since then I haven't been able to catch up.
but
That's
you
not how
had
that
to
works.
write it out the whole of school.
No,
Yeah.
I wrote the 23rd of August.
That's a you fucking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I
That's
did it.
way harder than it should be as
You
well.
literally caused more work for yourself rather than just ingraining it.
Yeah,
into
but you know, at some point you have a system. I was like, it works.
No,
Melina, I
you
used to do
can't
this
pull
as
a
well in
fucking
early years of
Bethesda
primary
on
school, and I
this. You
switched
can't.
pretty easily in the later years of primary school.
You can't call a bug a feature. I'm sorry, you don't get that. That's not even something
Yeah, why
you're
did
gonna...
you say that to her? She's not a gamer. She's not gonna understand the Bethesda lore.
Yeah, I realized as soon as I said it.
Okay, moving on.
Bonk.
Moving on. The fun thing is I've written some out as like the full dates. Like I would write them, and others I haven't.
I'm gonna crush this can, and it still has liquid in it.
I'm gonna crush this fucking bottle.
So the first I entered is dated for the 23rd of March, and I'll just read out how he actually begins.
It's 1 month after your birthday. How can you not know? Sorry.
1 month and 3
Fuck
days.
It.
I will
Shut the fuck up. That's not the... Whatever.
I will outline the events that happened to me during the past few months, beginning with my journey into a familiar cave in December 2000. Well, it actually hasn't ended yet, the whole journey. I will use my caving journal as the text.
If it's not ended at this point, then wow.
And at the time he wrote it, which is the 23rd of March, I will give them to you as I experience them in chronological order. He will not give any detail or specifics into the location or the people involved. So the name he uses, Ted. He's Ted.
Mm-hmm. He's Ted. Hey, Ted.
Fake. Then we have his friend.
These events are based on true events, but some of the names and faces have been changed.
And he goes...
Names and places, not names and faces!
Names and faces. Yeah, they just blur them. Dramatization may not have happened.
Yeah. And he made up a very good nickname for his friend. B.
Like the letter?
Like the letter.
B. I feel like this is a common thing with creepypastas. One, how this is starting out, but also two, I won't give locations. I'm not going to give real names.
It's covering tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what covering the fact that it's total bullshit.
Yeah. You gotta have that. You gotta have that layer so that it seems plausible, but not enough to actually test it.
I couldn't come up with realistic locations, so fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first entry actually was dated the 12th. No, it's actually the 30th of December.
You don't know dates.
No, because he's American. He wrote it down.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you that.
Except it was the 30th of December, meaning that the number of days exceeds the amount of months in the year.
I realized that as I read it.
I will give you that.
Okay, thank you. So it was the 30th of December in 2000.
Okay.
Bad year. I wasn't there yet.
I was.
Thanks, narrator.
So it was the last trip of the year that Ted and B wanted to take, and they were avid cavers.
I'm gonna keep interrupting this for comedic effects, but
that's fine.
It would have been really funny if this was the first journey of the year and 30th of December.
We're not really cavers.
Yeah.
This is the first time. So they heard about this cave and were like, oh, it's like parts of it are still unexplored. And for cavers, that's apparently, let's go into unexplored territory. Sounds fun.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. And they found a very small opening at the bottom of the cave where all civilization hadn't come yet. There was a graffiti on the walls. There wasn't trash around, which there was, in the beginning of the cave because children. And there was air blowing through it. So, and there's a saying among cavers.
You're good?
If it blows, it goes. So they were like, well, if wind is blowing through there, it's going somewhere. They were like, well, let's open up this hole a little further so it can squeeze through.
Let's see what's on the other side, boys.
Let's take up this woman's time.
They had to take up the cave's time.
Take up the cave's time, yeah.
So they were nosy boys and wanted to attempt to go through the tiny passage.
I hate everything about that sentence.
Why did you say it like that?
Why did you look at me directly in the eyes as you said that?
This entire session is just us making each other uncomfortable.
Yes. And so while they sat there in the darkness, they could hear a weird howling coming from the other side of the passage. It was like a low, eerie noise, and they could also hear a low rumble from time to time. But they thought, no big deal, there's a highway nearby. So, cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess.
They got some cordless drills, and they named the passage Floyd's Tomb after some guy that died after being stuck in a cave.
Well, that's the great thing you want to name it.
Yep. And it takes very long to drill caves. So.
Yeah, I imagine it does.
If they're using what I'm assuming, if they're using cordless drills, I'm imagining a DeWalt handheld thing, not the
it's the little handheld thing.
Yeah.
And so the hole is basically just above them.
Okay.
So, they kind of have to hold their arms up to get it. So it's a very,
the fact that it's above them is like concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? I would have just fucked off right there.
Do they know they can cause like a cave-in by trying to do that?
Probably.
They have death wishes.
And so after, the batteries on their cordless drill, they called it a day and went away. And then they went
So like an hour later.
I'm done here, boys.
And then they came back the 17th of January. And they took shifts, both drilling at the entry paths. It was a very slow process, of course, because
I feel like the amount of time they can invest with like cordless drills, right, is far less than it takes them to actually get
any of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no effect has happened on this like cave.
No. And they're spending like what, maybe 5 hours getting there.
Over the course of just a couple months at most. Yeah. I think. if that's where the story's going.
And then while they were working, they noticed the howling noise again, but it seemed louder than it was last time.
It's called wind.
We just figured the wind was blowing a little stronger outside.
There you go. Like that's
Oh, it's a ghost.
There was also still the rumbling noise, which was also louder and more frequent.
Rumbling, it's coming.
Is this story gonna end with them like activating like the fucking deep dark Minecraft bombs?
They just fall into the void.
Yeah.
Not like I Zen lost in Minecraft for that or anything.
Shut the fuck up.
So once their batteries died, they returned to a motel for the night, came back the day after, same thing. They just kind of started drilling, weird noises, but oh well. Then they returned again on the 10th of February, and they took a dog with them into the cave.
That's a smart move.
The dog's name Whip.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, so to get into this cave, they had to like rappel down a few cave walls. So they made the dog a harness.
These guys are dumb.
Oh my god, the time to like cost efficiency of all of this, like
I know, right? They're just they want to get into this passage. They want to see what's behind it. And so they were like, this tiny dog.
How is that passage if it's above them?
You can squeeze in. But they took the dog basically so they could get him into the passage through the hole, see if there was anything.
And the dog was never seen again.
But
you were unable
finally,
to
as they got
handle
into
this.
20 feet of the hole, so not even next to it, the dog began to whimper and hide behind Bee, the friend. Her tail was between her legs as she was cowering down onto the ground. Strange. I've seen her square off with dogs twice her size, but now she acted as if Satan himself was lurking in the darkness.
What a strange choice of words.
You know, there's been multiple times recently where we've talked about creepypastas, and we've had that thing of like, they seemed really scary or cool or atmospheric back then.
Like
and
a decade ago.
Yeah, and then you look at them now and think, God, these are the most horribly written, logic hole filled messes.
Yes.
I mean, again, this is a summary of a summary. So.
No, but like I know
translation of a translation.
I know the general story of Ted the Caver.
I don't.
But knowing the
this
actual
is a great first
like
impression.
details, it's so dumb.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
The only creepypasta from like a decade ago that didn't fall into that trap was Sonic.exe, because that was always trash.
Yeah, exactly. And then he heard a strange noise emanating from the hole. And B said it sounded like rock sliding on rock. Very specific. Sort of like a grinding sound. I assumed his ears were just ringing from the drill, because they've been working at it for so long. And he didn't wear earplugs.
Pokemon.
Yeah, this Ted made a point to say like he wasn't wearing his earplugs because he's stupid. That's why he's hearing the weird noises.
Aye.
Yeah. And then Ted, after the first battery died, stuck his head in the hole to see if he could fit through, but nope. But the wind had stopped coming from the hole. Pretty sus.
Don't say that when you just said the wind stopped coming from the hole.
All right. Then they returned March 3rd, 2001. The breeze is back.
Hey, that's the day before I was made into this world. I like saying it in the worst way possible.
And then after going through 3 batteries, they're buying more batteries because they want to stay down there longer. Suddenly, over the squeal of the drill, they heard a strange noise, and it was loud. And so Ted stopped drilling and yanked his earplugs, mentions he is wearing earplugs, out just in time to hear the most terrible scream I have ever heard trail off and echo into the darkness. B was like, it's an animal. It was like, I'll just put some rocks in the back of the passage so they can't get to us, and then we'll be fine. Yeah. And so Ted took a break. B continued until the last battery died.
Huh. Yeah. Who could have guessed?
Yeah. Then, March 13th. Yeah, not much happens.
March 13th, or as it's also known as the day crabs fries.
The breeze is back.
Wait,
the Return of the Breeze
is back. Because wasn't the last entry also begin with
back again?
Yeah, but he mentions breeze is still there, back again. Like, okay, doesn't make sense, but sure.
It didn't disappear again, so how can it be back?
Boys, you're never gonna guess what the wind still exists.
Real.
And not clickbait.
Not clickbait.
They work a little more at the passage hole, and then Ted can almost squeeze through. If he puts like his arms above his head, he can squeeze his body through, because Ted is smaller than B is. So, once Ted can fit, he's gonna go through. Fuck B. He can do something later.
I've seen the picture of Ted the Keeper. Have you seen the picture?
I think so.
So
there's several.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into it because to describe them, it's kind of boring.
The main one is like the bald guy.
Oh. I don't know if I've seen that one.
I'm not sure if I've seen that either.
Okay.
Might need to show
us.
The
main one I've seen is like a bald guy. I can't be able to get it up.
Okay. That's fine.
And he's like kind of stocky. So for another person to like be bigger than him, I'm kind of like, how big are these guys?
I mean, there was a picture of B.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that was B.
Maybe that was B, yeah.
Yeah. So, Ted could fit in, but his feet were like still dangling from the hole, and it looked very funny. There's a picture of it. Look it up if you want.
The fact that like it's above them, I'm like, what the fuck?
Like slightly above. It's like a little angled, you know?
Just to go off the pictures of this guy.
Oh yeah, that was it. I think
that's Ted.
I
That's
confused
Ted.
the bandana thing as like him being bald.
Yeah.
He looks so happy in
there. Yeah.
And so Ted was in the passage, Floyd's tomb, with his arms like above.
I wish we had cameras, because Melina's doing so many body movements.
They're so descriptive on all this useless stuff. It's ridiculous. So imagine this guy, hands in front, dangling little feet, tiny passageway, like full on has to squeeze his way through it. And so he's moving bits of debris out of his way with his little hands in front of him, and his cheeks. His face cheeks.
Oh, okay. Face cheeks. Thank you for the clarification.
And it was about a 12 feet crawl before it would like widen a little bit, but it was getting tighter and tighter, so he had to like fully exhale.
Wow.
And then squeeze himself through further.
Jesus.
And then it was unfortunately still a slightly bit too small. Like before he got the full 12 feet, he got stuck again. So
this
he considered
is the part
it.
I've like heard the most. Yeah.
So he still considered it a successful trip because he managed to get into the opening, but they would have to they'd have to widen the actual passage.
Any goal's a goal.
They'd have to
That's not the tagline.
So yeah, Ted got out of Floyd's tomb, got back to be.
I keep forgetting it's called that. I forgot that as well.
At some point, they forget it themselves as well. They're just like, the passage. Yeah, it's like, I thought we named it. You went through the whole thing of naming it.
The disrespect of Floyd.
Yeah, and so it was a successful trip, even if they didn't get fully through. It was successful.
Take that as a W.
Yeah. And then we jump to April 7th, 2001, and they concluded that 1 inch of rock had to be removed from the passage, like from the top or the bottom, so Ted could squeeze through. They made a whole thing so they could measure how big Ted was and how wide it had to be for him to squeeze through. I won't go into details.
This is like making a mine shaft in Minecraft and like having to remove the top one so you can get down.
Yeah, so they basically used some of their tools, attached it to a big long pipe, and then from the entrance of the hole they were scraping at.
It's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
I know, right? Again, they go into such detail on this. And after about 2 hours of scraping, Ted was like, I'm gonna do it again. It was still a tight squeeze, but he would exhale, scoot forward, stop to catch his breath, and repeat. And he made it through the tightest part of the cave. I know, that's how he keeps repeating that. I'm sorry.
It's more the fact that he's like, exhale, move forward, and stop to catch his breath. But if he's having to exhale to move and squeeze through it, like, how is there room for him to then breathe and inhale?
Because they've just widened it a bit.
But he's saying he still needs to.
He still needs to. Yeah.
It's not answering our question.
No.
He still needs to do that.
But how can he then take the air in if it's narrowing?
Yeah,
there's not then good, and he needs to inhale.
Yeah, but the narrowest bit they got rid of. But still, to get through, he does need to do the exhale thing and fully inhale, not fully fully exhale.
I feel like I'm having a stroke.
Yeah. Okay. So he makes it through. He makes it through.
Okay, that's the main
point. First thing he says is Virgin Cave. Hell yeah.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you.
And then Ted just turns back to the passage. It's like, "Hey, B, should I go? Should I like go explore? Because he sees more cave." And he's like, "Yeah, here, take a drill, in case."
Can I offer you a drill in these trying times?
Yeah. And so the cave walls opened further, and he was able to stand in some place. And he yelled back to me, he's like, "I'll just be gone for like 30 minutes, just 30 minutes of exploring." And
I have the strange feeling he's not going to return in 30 minutes.
And he found fun stuff like crystal clusters, all untouched by humanity.
One out of his gold.
Yeah. And then he found what seemed to be more like an open part of the cave, and he felt an eerie feeling as he entered it.
He found a sealed copy of E.T. for Atari.
Oh no!
And he also found what seemed to be hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics.
It was a simple drawing that almost appeared to be just part of a rock discoloration. It looked like a very crude representation of people standing below a symbol. But time was up, so I only took a few pictures and left.
Well, that's interesting. I'll come back tomorrow.
So he had to go back through Floyd's tomb and squeeze his tiny body. And as he laid there, between the squeezed cave walls, a noise appeared. It was the faint but distinct sound of rock sliding on rock. Again.
Because he's in a cave.
Yeah.
All he could do was continue his slow way through the passage, and he decided not to tell me anything about the noise. He was like, "Nah, don't worry about it."
Nah, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
He reached them, and they left the cave, agreeing that next time they should find another person to join them, just for safety's sake.
Yeah, you know, if one of them's going through the hole and the other one's just left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, April 14th, 2001. We got a new friend.
Is this the day after?
It is a few days later. Yeah,
okay.
It's about a week. It's a week later.
I love this about creepypastas, like they'll date stuff, and like by the time I've read one entry and got to the next one, I'm like, I don't fucking remember.
No,
I've not been keeping a timeline here.
So, April 14th, 2001, they got a new pal, Joe.
Hey, it's Joe.
Ted, B, and Joe.
Yeah. I know.
It's the most standard American names.
So, Joe joins the bunch,
but
he is not told. No one decides to tell him about, by the way, these weird noises and the breeze thing. They don't tell him anything.
He joins the B emoji.
Yeah, but unfortunately, on their descent down to the cave, Ted bonks his head.
Bonk.
Like, to the point of bleeding, so B was like, "You ain't going in there."
These guys are shit at what they do. Like, Jesus.
So Joe was like, "I'll go by myself."
Which is the complete antithesis to why they fucking brought him here.
Yeah, so Joe goes through by himself, and like he's gone a long time, so they start yelling through the passage like, "Hey Joe, you okay?"
Jason.
Doesn't respond for a long time until he does, and he just yells, "No!" So he comes back crawling to Floyd's tomb. He's pale and looks like scared, like a boy, and he has cuts all over him because he was squeezing through the passage so fast.
Well, I related up until the cuts.
But he doesn't want to talk about it.
I want to talk about it.
Don't worry about it.
And in like the following weeks, he becomes very secluded in his home, Joe. So he doesn't want to talk about it. And he definitely doesn't want to return to the cave. So they're back to where they started.
Don't worry about it.
I relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another 2 weeks later, so April 28th, 2001, Ted and B approached a cave rescue group to get some supplies. So they got a phone that's connected by wire. So, they keep contact while... Yep, exactly. You wind the little... Yep, all that. And they also took a video camera this time.
Okay,
finally.
But as soon as they reached the entrance to the cave, both were just feeling uneasy. Like, they didn't want to go in and explore anymore. But of course, they ignored that.
Now they're feeling that.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. And as they descended, they bumped and scraped into everything, just being clumsy. And it just seemed like the universe was against them that day.
Fucking stop, you stupid bastards.
Well, you know, Ted, he goes in alone, but he's connected by phone and he's, recording his journey on his
he's
little...
connected by phone. I'm just thinking that someone just shoved the cord up his arm.
And he's recording everything on his video camera. Video camera.
So they've just realized they no longer live in the days where you have to carry a big bulky ass camera.
Yeah.
You know.
Should have brought a Nokia.
Should have brought a Nokia. Thing would be fucking indestructible. It would get signal down there.
Yeah. So he gets through the passage, Floyd's tomb easily. You know, he goes back to the big room where he saw, you know, the hieroglyphics things. Hieroglyphic things. And he calls B, just be like, I'm all good, mate. We're all fine. And B is like, take your time, have fun.
I'm feeling so good right now, man.
And then they hang up. Then suddenly, from behind him, Ted hears the scraping noise. And it was loud, and it was close. It was coming from behind him.
Pyramid Head.
Dun, dun,
And he ran into a tiny cave opening he'd seen in the room before and bonked his head immediately.
Fucking idiot.
This fucking guy.
Do these guys not have fucking helmets?
No, because they keep fucking hitting their heads, so they're
exactly.
They all wear helmets!
Oh.
And so as he bonks his head, the light on his helmet breaks.
Of course it does.
Yeah. And so he's terrified of the noise he just heard behind him. He's fully in the dark in like a tiny nook that's a bit out of the room. And he tries to call B on his phone, but no one answers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And he's like, why? Excuse me?
Why?
So then he's like, well, I need to get some light. So he grabs his backup light from his bag. Forgot to put batteries in that one.
Stupid fucker.
So he has some glow sticks.
I guess.
Sure.
Yep. So, you know, he throws one of the glow sticks into the room. But, you know, it lights up the room in a nice green hue. But apart from that, he sees absolutely nothing.
Well, yeah, because it's a glow stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then slowly he makes his way back into the big room, trembling in fear. Then he noticed one of the large rocks in the room had been moved. That must be the source of the scraping rock noises.
You know, as they do, you know, rocks.
Casually.
And that rock had crushed the phone wire.
You know, it's like, you know those like small rocks you get in like deserts where they just slowly migrate?
Yeah.
It's one of those, but big. Pioneers used to ride these babies for miles.
And now that the rock had been moved, it revealed another secret passage.
For the love of God.
Oh, there's like a Zelda dungeon.
He looked into the passage, scared, lighting it with his glow stick. It's those breaky glow sticks, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a glow stick.
Yeah.
I love this image. I love this image.
His fear got the better of him, and he started to return fast.
I'm honestly surprised it's not a fucking flare at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
As he called out through Floyd's tomb, he called for B, get everything ready, we have to go.
Get the fuck out of here.
And B is very chill. He's like, you okay? And he's like, no!
Do I sound okay?
Yeah.
You have to fucking find me.
But then as Ted crawled through, he realized he had lost his video camera. So all the footage he had taken of the cave.
That's
How
convenient.
fucking convenient.
Yeah.
Oh god, who could have predicted that?
The winds returned to the Floyd's tomb, the winds, but this again with a putrid smell. It smelled like rancid death.
Yeah, that's generally always the term that comes up.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, bro.
And-
I forgot.
Also, rancid death?
Yeah, I know,
Rancid.
but rancid death, I know.
That's a band name, not an actual description of a smell. Death smells rancid to begin with.
Yeah, so rancid death, duh. And so as he's trying to go through Floyd's tomb as fast as possible, he's scraping his arms and his sides, and he goes through the passage and just, instead of carefully going out, he just yeets himself on the floor.
Fair.
And he hurts his, shoulder pretty bad, because it's, I think, a 3 feet drop from where the hole is to where they are.
Okay.
And so they gathered their gear and they started their ascent. Ted was hurting and bleeding from all the cuts on his body. And B went ahead of him on the rope. And after a short climb, they reached like one of the you have a small little ledge, so they got there, which was an easier one. They could just free climb that, but from there they had to put on their harness and actually climb the other bit properly. And when Ted was about to start climbing after B, he felt a tug at his harness. Yeah, and looked back to see
Get
that
over here.
the leftover rope was being pulled into the abyss of the cave. He took the harness off immediately and just started climbing the rope with his bare hands. Yeah. And as they climbed further, the tension on the rope they were also holding on to only grew more. And Ted followed behind me, almost fully just not even... He had like one carabiner on him that was just kind of loosely attached to the rope, but that doesn't do it. You still fall the fuck down. And so B reached daylight, and he plops down on the ground, just panting, terrified. And he helps Ted up the last bits, and he's exhausted. Ted is fully just running on adrenaline. And they lay in the grass, just taking deep breaths, terrified. And they look to the tree where they've anchored their rope. And they see that the tension on the rope is slowly increasing. And they can hear like the crunching noise. So they panic and they cut the wire.
Yeah.
The rope. And then on the way back of their journey, they stayed silent.
Yeah.
That was fucking weird, bro.
We're not done.
Shut the fuck up.
We have one more entry.
Oh, okay.
On May 19th, 2001. So the other one was April
so it's been like
28th.
a month.
Yeah. A month.
So Ted is not doing good.
Well, gee, I wonder why.
Under an incredible amount of stress. He's constantly paranoid. He's hallucinating. He's barely sleeping. And he's just generally afraid of the dark. So the doctor was like, here's some meds. They don't help. So
has anyone just tried bonking him on the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he talks to B a bit here and then, but they're both not really willing to fully talk about the events.
B didn't see anything though, right? No, okay.
No, he just kind of, he saw what happened when they climbed up, the tension of the rope, so there was something down there that was doing something.
Yeah.
But they don't know what. It's just a little spook. And so Ted goes out to this viewpoint they have over the city nearby, and there he runs into Joe. Who they haven't spoken to in a while, who hasn't been answering calls. And he looks horrible, looks pale, looks malnourished, not good.
Greasy fucker.
And Joe asks him, like, oh, you been back? Even though, Joe knew it's like, yeah. And then Joe just says, we need to return.
No.
Return to hole.
And Ted's like, tomorrow good? Yeah. Joe, yeah. I'll see you at noon.
They are too...
And then no more updates since this post.
Yeah, I know the story ended like that.
No, exactly. Yeah, they basically, I'll update you guys on what I found in the cave, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, creepypastas are...
Like, it's creepier when it's described with, their fancy adjectives and all that, because I really have to sum up the summaries.
Yeah.
There's just so much talk about rope. And like they talk about, like, I drove back to the motel
to get the rope,
and we ate this. I was like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, that's like looking into sort of what I wanted to bring. I looked into a couple of different things, and one of them I looked into was like marble hornets, which is I guess the best way to summarize it is not the thing that created Slenderman, but the thing that created most of the Slenderman lore that people are like familiar with.
Yeah.
Even though Slenderman's not called Slenderman in that series, he's called the Operator. But because it's like 100 odd episode like web series, it's like 8-9 hours worth of content. Even the summaries that I could find were
it's
like
too much.
Too much. Yeah, they were either one that would do it in an hour and would not cover enough to be worth explaining, or one that would cover each season in like an hour or two, and it's like, oh my god,
that'd have to be a series.
Yeah, so interesting, however.
Just too much.
Just too much.
So instead
I have brought one called The Man from Torred. Now, as I explained, it's sort of more of like an urban legend. As far as I'm aware, it's more of a kind of copy pasta type thing in Japan.
Okay.
Though over here it's a bit more of like an urban legend type thing.
Yeah.
So I have a Reddit post that you can find on the r/unresolved mysteries subreddit.
Dun, dun,
and it's called, excuse me, I'm choking on my own fucking spit. The Man from Torred Solved. And so it's the original story, and then it's the explanation behind where the story came from. Question, answer, yes. So it starts with this quote. He's a real nowhere man sitting in his nowhere land. I don't know where that comes from.
He's a nowhere girl.
I guess it's to set an impression. And so the story starts in 1954. A well-dressed Caucasian man arrives at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Everything seems to go normally until the man gives custom officials his passport. Passport shows him coming from a country called Torred, and Torred doesn't exist. Officials take the man aside and start interrogating him. Someone brings out a map, and the man identifies Torred as a location between France and Spain, where the real world microstate Andorra is.
I feel like this is familiar to me.
You might have heard this.
I might have like skimmed over this like years ago.
Yeah. An interrogator asks him if he means Andorra. No, he's never heard of it. He's from Torred.
What's Andorra?
The fuck's in Andorra?
He has money from several different real, in brackets, European countries.
It's very real, guys.
What's from different European countries? Most of the euro.
This is from 1950.
Yeah, this is a
one. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Fair.
His passport has multiple stamps, including Japanese ones, and appears real. He claims he has a business meeting in Tokyo, he can speak Japanese, and says his native language is French. Officials take him to a nearby hotel on the top floor and put him under guard. Then they do some checking. The company for which he claims to work has never heard of him. The hotel at which he claims to have booked a reservation never received one for him. And so officials go back to the room and the man has vanished. The guards swear he never came out of the room, and the only way out is through the window, which is not only on the hotel's top floor but also locked. He was never seen again.
Sus.
So that's the story.
He crossed through dimensions.
He crossed through dimensions.
Is the implication, I think.
Yes. So the sort of things that swirl around about it is that he's, an interdimensional traveler and he got caught, and so he jumped back type thing. But the real story behind it is actually surprisingly
sane
and rational
and true to an extent. Not that he's an interdimensional traveler or anything.
I was like, wow, I really missed some news.
Yeah, exactly.
But this happened. So I'll just start with the explanation. As you've probably guessed, this fun Twilight Zone-esque story is almost definitely bogus. No one has ever been able to find any Haneda Airport documentation or contemporary newspaper articles about it, or any evidence whatsoever. It's now more or less a copy pasta with little variation between retellings. But how did it start? This tale was posted here in 2014 by a user found what I think is the earliest reference to the story in Colin Wilson and John Grant's The Dictionary of Possibilities. In the book, Wilson and Grant have one sentence on our Torredian travel. Torredian? Fuck, I don't know how to say it.
Tourette's.
And it reads, and in 1954, a passport check in Japan is alleged to have produced a man with papers issued by the nation of Torred. I haven't been able to find a single earlier reference, so what about the rest of the story? I'm actually going to summarize most of this because it's really fucking long.
Yeah, I can see it on your phone. There's like paragraphs upon paragraphs.
Yeah, so basically the real person was a man called John Allen Kutcher Zegras. He invented a nation called Torred, made up his own passport because he just wanted to go traveling. I don't remember where he's actually from. And he had traveled like a whole bunch of the world, and no one had like questioned the passport or anything like that until he reached Japan.
Wow.
And custom officials obviously checked it, and he realized it was bogus, and he was arrested. And there were reports in Japanese newspapers that he was taken to court type thing. And so it's, I found it here, Zegras' sentence, the Tokyo District Court, 22 December, or The Tokyo District Court, 22nd of December, sentenced John Allen K. Zegras, a man without nationality, to 1 year imprisonment for having illegally entered Japan and passing phony checks. Zegras, self-styled American who has professedly acted as an agent for the US Federal Bureau of Information and the Central Intelligence Agency, entered this country in 1959 on a bogus passport. And that's kind of it.
Huh.
So FBI.
No one knows.
Huh.
He's totally like a mystery. So it says here, it doesn't add too much that we already know, but it does confirm the man without a country. And apparently he wasn't working for the CIA unless he was deep cover. It also confirms the 1959 because there was debate on when it had come from.
Yeah.
Obviously there's still remaining questions, but the solution is that some guy tried to enter. I don't think Tured was what he had on the passport. I think it was a different country that he claimed to be south of the Sahara.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Mr. Zegras wanted to travel the world to impress officials. He invented a nation, a capital, a people, and a language. All these he recorded on a passport which he himself made. John claimed to be a naturalized Ethiopian and an intelligence agent for Colonel Nasser.
Oh boy.
The passport was stamped as issued at Tamanrasset, the capital of Tured. So Tured is actually the real part. South of the Sahara. Any places so romantically named ought to exist, but they don't. John Allen Kutcher Zegras invented them, and for a while, he got away with it. Gallant gesture for the individuals unfortunately ended with the Japanese in Tokyo as they began looking at maps.
As they actually fucking looked into it.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the whole actual explanation is much longer.
Okay.
So I recommend watching. Let me see if I can find the video that I watched on this. I think it was part of a larger mystery video. I've watched so many of these recently.
Yeah. You can always leave it in the description if you can find it.
Yeah, if I can find it, I'll leave it in the description. It's a really interesting video. I can't even remember who uploaded it right now. Like I say, I've been watching a lot of these trying to find a story that was actually...
Just blame it on Jorge there.
No.
He's the one guy that's the central pillar of this kind of shit on YouTube for me. Not Nexpo, but sometimes I'm iffy on Nexpo.
Yeah. I actually don't know.
Oh no. It's a mystery. It was never real.
Shit. Yeah, so I'll have to look into that and try and find the video.
This adds to the mythos.
It does add to the mythos.
There are no videos on it.
There was no video.
This Reddit post never existed.
I'm going to look at your phone, the paragraphs you've been reading is just no work and
blah,
no
blah,
play.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the man from Tured. It's been written, it's been adapted into a book and stuff like that. So
that is fascinating.
Yeah, I'd be interested to read the book because it's sure, there's a story there, but is there a film novel story there?
Unless they go through, his life.
Yeah.
Him, being, I want to travel, I make...
Which is a different story than I'd like to read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I almost feel like that's an underdog story.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just very detailed about everything.
Maybe, yeah.
I like the whole aspect that this seems like a much more realistic story with the explanation and stuff, obviously. But I like how over the decades, if it is really that old, it's been sort of just fictionized and sort of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Mythicized?
Yeah, mythological.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to say that, but it didn't sound right. So I'm
sensationalized, maybe.
Yeah, sensationalized into this sort of urban legend. He was from another time, another dimension. It adds in Cold War espionage with the CIA, FBI angle, and all that. It's interesting.
Yeah,
you can see it how it became that over time.
Yeah.
But the actual explanation's a lot more real.
So before we jump into like your ones, do you want to know some of the ones that I had as like candidates that I didn't bring?
Honorable mentions.
So these are some honorable mentions that I think are a bit. I thought these were a bit much, and that I thought as soon as I found out, Ted Caver, Lavender Town, I was like, these are vastly different tonally.
You want to go all in.
I almost went all in, and I was kind of like, let's dial it back, because some of these make me a little uncomfortable, so...
Okay.
Thanks.
Because they come by the way of originally being posted on 4chan.
Okay, there you go.
So,
I almost thought you were going to say something awful.
No, so the idea is that, like, the videos I had been watching is it's like, don't take everything you read on 4chan as...
Gospel.
real.
Yeah, in any sense.
No, in any sense, because they're internet fucking cringe lords. So
yeah, that's the entire point of the site.
Yeah, so one of them was a thread made by a guy who was house sitting and realized they had like a stalker that was like stalking just that house that they were house sitting. Sounds really interesting, except it's really fucking anticlimactic and drags its feet so bad.
Oh, great.
Oh, that's a shame.
The actual like explanations are so long, and it's like day by day by day, and it's like just in general they spend too long in the situation that I'm like, no realistic person is staying 6 days in this house.
Yeah, it's like the fucking Five Nights at Freddy's problem, where like these animatronics are trying to kill you every night, dude. Why are you still going back?
Yeah,
is the paycheck that worth it? Is the paycheck really that like worth it?
And so eventually, like they start setting up like bottle on string traps and stuff to like let them know someone's in the house. They put like tape on the doors and like string and stuff to let them know if someone's come in and all this sort of shit. And it's like, okay, and then it just ends. It ends with them like the family that owns the house like calling them when they get back at the airport and saying, oh, we don't know anything about like a stalker or anything like that. There was a whole thing about the back door where like they were told, oh, it doesn't open, we don't have a key type thing, and it had been opened, and he found a key, and he just fucking leaves the key in the kitchen and goes home, and it's like, why did I waste 20 minutes of my time
for no climax?
Climax. And then the other one was a shorter one. It was about a group of college students who had this friend that they called Angel because she was very innocent. She only watched about 12 movies, and it was all ones that had been edited to remove like certain amounts of violence, certain amount of sexual, stuff.
Because she's pure.
Well,
not really.
So they one day they went to like her apartment or something like that to hang out, and they were watching YouTube videos, and then she was like, oh, let's put on Patch Adams, like that's her favorite movie, but it's like had stuff like edited out or whatever. And so little did she know that the friend who edited the movies for her was about to play a prank on her and had swapped the Patch Adams video file with one that they had edited in scenes from horror movies. And so the first one that pops up is one from Impact, directed by Takashi Miike, who has directed some very intensely like graphic horror movies, just violent as fuck.
Okay. And
so it cuts to a scene where like she has like needles in her gums and in her mouth and stuff like that, and the girl just like freaks out, goes into the corner, cowers, pisses herself, doesn't talk, goes unresponsive. They call the sister comes around, and it turns out that when she was like 7, she had witnessed someone being like raped or something like that, possibly murdered, and had like hidden in a dumpster. And so when she seen something like too intense, she just reverted back to that, and she like never recovered afterwards. She just had like the mind of like a 7-year-old. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
depressing.
That's just sad.
So I was like, yeah, those are a bit much intense to like tell in their full breadth. Well, not the Stalker one, but at least the Patch Adams one. I had like I'd come across like another one, but they made me feel like actually physically ill. So I was like, yes, let's take a step back.
It's not the vibe.
Yeah. So yeah, Man from Tered.
This is nice. So Pokemon. Hard cut.
That's like why I wanted to tell that before you started telling yours.
Just hard cut into like the anime theme. So, how much do you guys really know about Pokemon, like overall, just to get a read?
That's a hard question to answer.
Okay.
I played Pearl.
Nice.
I
watched some of the show.
Okay.
I watched the show growing up. I played Diamond and then didn't play any until the Switch came out.
Okay.
And fuck me if I know what any of the Pokemon are.
Like,
in terms of outside of the main big ones, like I
couldn't tell you your names.
I mean, I can tell you some names, but I'm not like some people who have like the whole Pokedex memorized.
Yeah. I used to be somewhat like that, but like it's gone down over the years.
Yeah, like I'll find a Pokemon out in the wild in the game and go, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, you don't have to. You just have to if you vibe with it.
Yeah, it's like you look vaguely familiar, but fuck me if I know who you are.
Okay. So I'm guessing you guys don't know about much about the original like generation of games. Apart from like maybe stuff related to the anime.
Vaguely, I know stuff about Red and Blue.
Okay. So most of the game completely as you expect, a happy-go-lucky sort of baby's first RPG.
Yeah.
Lighthearted Pokemon game, except for one area of the original game, and this is the factual part. Actual factual. And that's Lavender Town. Because Lavender Town, like, tonally has a completely different vibe from, like, the entire rest of the game.
Yeah.
It sounds very familiar, Lavender Town.
Yeah, it was in a bunch of creepypastas, like, 10 years ago.
I'd say most Pokemon games have, like, an area similar to Lavender Town.
Yeah, like, in Gen 4, there's, like, there's this old, like, plateau sort of place you can find that has, like, ghosts in it and stuff.
And it has the tower as well, I think. Or
Lavender Town has a tower.
Oh, that's a Death Tower?
Yes.
Yeah, I know the Death Tower.
There's a tower and Diamond as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in Pearl and Diamond, there's a tower.
Yeah.
Shit, I haven't played Gen 4 in a long time.
You have to go in it to progress the story at some point.
I haven't played Gen 4 in like
kind of mazy.
Yeah,
with like
and you're being like
gravestones.
followed by ghost type Pokemon and stuff like that.
Oh, that it's very similar to like.
I think it's based on
yeah. Because Lavender Town, its whole thing was that it's like a sort of graveyard sort of town. Like it has the tower, it has a bunch of graves in it and stuff. And it's very similar to what Gen 4 was. I've completely forgotten about Gen 4 because again, I haven't played it since I was like 9.
I played it like 2 years ago when the remake came out. So.
Okay. So Lavender Town is very much the same thing. But the most iconic thing about Lavender Town that I think sums up the entire like tone thing is the sort of theme. Which you've probably heard before.
I've heard it, yeah.
I'm not sure if you have.
That's sort of weird. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add it in at this point.
I'll put it under.
Yeah. Spooky. But
Nintendo's going to be coming for my ass.
We're talking over it. It's fine. It's as long as you talk over it, it's fine.
The fact that Pokemon is such a happy-go-lucky, like kid-friendly series that has this in the game means that it's just ripe for like creepypasta sort of stuff. And the main one,
and so many horror videos use the Lavender Town music.
Yeah, to be fair, it is genuinely a creepy theme.
It is, yeah.
But like the main one that like is the sort of central myth around Lavender Town is Lavender Town Syndrome, which I don't know if you want if you can like pull it up.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly short. I forgot just how short the actual story is. There's been a bunch of other like fanfic like expansions.
Is this sort of similar to the Electric Soldier Porygon?
I was gonna get to that
mass hysteria.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that like right after telling like, the original story. No, it's
this
cool. you fucked with my fucking tone. It's over. I'm done. But so on the Creepypasta wiki, Lavender Town Syndrome was a peak in suicides and illnesses in children between the ages of 7 and 12 shortly after the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan back in February of 1996.
I forgot it was green in Japan.
Yeah, it is green in Japan.
Yeah, because we got blue.
Yeah.
And we didn't get green until Leaf Green came out.
Because
I think I've played Leaf Green.
Because the Japanese versions of like Red and Green are in functionality like an earlier build than the ones we got over here because there were changes obviously as it came through.
I think we're our Red and Blue based on essentially
the Japanese blue.
Yeah.
Because like Japan got Red and Green and then a later release called Pokemon Blue. Somewhat along with their yellow as well, which
we eventually
got as well. Yeah. But the Japanese like blue added like a lot of stuff. It updated some of the sprites because some of the original sprites are fuck ugly.
Oh, okay.
But like, but one of the things that also changed was a little tweak into some of the music, including the music in Lavender Town. And what this story is basically going off of is saying that just to read off like the story again, rumors say that these suicides and illnesses only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose theme music had extremely high frequencies.
Yeah.
That studies showed that only children and young teens can hear, since their ears were more sensitive.
Makes sense.
Due to the lavender tone, it's hard for me to I've almost read that as town, but like...
You want me to scroll up?
Just
turn the screen.
Like turn the screen if that's okay. Sorry, Melina.
No, it's fine. I can read from here.
You're on the opposite side, so now I've made it harder for you to read. Due to the lavender tone, at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide, and many more developed illnesses and afflictions. The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. Those who did not acted irrationally.
Wow.
Because this is the creepypasta wiki.
Yeah.
Complained of severe headaches after listening to Lavender Town's theme. Although Lavender Town now sounds differently depending on the game, this mass hysteria was caused by the first Pokemon game released. After the Lavender Town and Lavender
Tone.
I know. I keep catching that because I keep thinking it's going to say town. After the Lavender Tone incident, the programmers had fixed Lavender Town's theme music to be at a lower frequency, and such children were no longer affected by it.
So, a weird thing to sort of
jump in.
The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. I'm not sure how I know this, but this is a weirdly that's the common form of suicide in Japan. You don't generally hear of people cutting their wrists or overdose. Even jumping in front of trains or whatever. It's predominantly
those two things,
hanging and jumping. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't know. Just weird thing I wanted to bring up. I think it's super common.
The thing about the story that I think actually makes it pretty effective, despite how short it is, and even during the time it was written, even if it's written a bit hastily on this entry, is that it does use a lot of real world facts to back up its claims.
Yeah.
It's just the whole if it actually happened thing that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
So, although no longer affected by it. One video appeared in 2010 using special software. This is very much bullshit.
Yeah, this sounds like bullshit.
Sounds like it.
To analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music, when they played the software created images of the Unknown, which is a Pokemon that first appeared in Gen 2.
Yeah, the key looking thing, I think.
There are Pokemon that are shaped on letters.
Yeah. Those,
Near the end of the audio, this raised a controversy since the Unknown didn't appear until the Gen 2 games Silver, Gold, and Crystal. The Unknown translate to "Leave now." There was also said to be a beta version of Lavender Town. Funnily enough, the video they're referencing I've actually seen, or at least it's a fan-made version that was created around at the time. But along with the Unknown, they also add the ghost Pokemon sprite, because in the actual Lavender Town part of the game, there's a sort of ghost enemy you can appear, not like a ghost type Pokemon, but literally just a ghost that in the main story you're supposed to use a piece of an item that you find built by Team Rocket, I think, that reveals it to be the ghost of a Marowak or something.
Right.
And there's a whole plot line there that is pretty sad.
Yeah.
But not the focus. Anyway, that whole leave now thing, bullshit, as you can imagine.
Bullshit, because that's not how audio spectrograms work.
It's not how it works, and there is software that you can artificially add that stuff in, and it's not new.
No.
So that's complete bullshit. It's also said to be a beta version of it. Okay, then it's just showing you the original,
video,
the original Japanese version of Pokemon Red and Green, which you can insert right now if you want.
I'll have it playing underneath, and then I'll cut to the original one probably.
Yeah, because the one we got over here was the slightly changed version that doesn't sound, that actually does sound a little lower pitched and has more of an echoey sound.
Right.
So, but I honestly think that change was obviously because the actual higher pitched frequencies does sound a bit annoying and ear grating after a while. I can imagine some kids did get headaches after a while.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But the suicide stuff is just
that's a bit much.
Sensationalization. And obviously the main influence from this, I think, as you can already guess, is
Super Soldier Porygon.
Yes.
Electric Soldier Porygon.
Which was an actual event in the anime. If you don't know that, because in the episode there's a bunch of flashing lights and a bunch of sequences which sent a lot of Japanese kids into the hospital with epilepsy.
Yeah.
So obviously the show got into a big controversy over on that. It got pulled from like the airways for a few months in Japan. Some episodes were like canned.
Yep, that episode's never been re-aired.
Yeah, and
never included in home releases.
I think it might have gotten a dub at one point, but I don't think it ever got
canned.
released.
Yeah, it didn't get released.
It got canned. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find the episode somewhere on like YouTube, but obviously heavy discretion if you're epileptic.
Yeah. Because this was before. Well, this episode caused.
This was the thing.
To cause ghosting and media in general, I would say. Like, ghosting is the idea of dimming certain scenes during broadcasts. So
like you can notice it all the time if you're watching movies on like TV, especially from like the turn of the, or like before the turn of the century.
Yeah. So anime is very common if you're watching like as it's coming out week to week, or if you're watching it on Crunchyroll or whatever, you'll notice that like certain scenes will dim, and that's because it's to avoid any flashing lights causing epileptic seizures. And there's something else. America has a weird solution to it where they do it on a frame rate basis.
Okay.
So if something's happening too fast, they artificially drop the refresh rate, which means that some episodes of Dragon Ball Super, things were happening so quickly that it ground to a halt because they reduced the frame rate so much. So the Adult Swim version is super scuffed.
Nice. But yeah, it's amazing how like that actual real story has affected so much of like media. Like even in video games, like a good example I can think of, because I'm the Zelda fan, obviously, is that in one of the early Zelda games, if you died, like there would be a big flashing on the screen.
Yeah.
That like in later releases just got changed to like a static red sort of screen before the game over screen came up. And like every video game console now will now come up with the warning text at the beginning when you turn it on, saying if you're sensitive to epilepsy, please consult on like your doctor or whatever to see.
Sit in a well-lit room. Don't sit too close to the TV. There was loads of PSAs that went out, usually in front of kids programs, by characters from these shows saying, you know, sit in a well-lit room, sit away from the TV.
Take care of your eyes,
Take
kids.
care of your eyes, take a break, blah, blah, blah. And it's why we get generally these warnings at the beginning of games and TV shows. You know, you'll get that warning, this program may contain flashing imagery type thing.
All because of Pokemon.
All because of Pokemon.
And you'd never expect it from that franchise.
It's funny because I remember I was talking to you when I was watching Gao Gaigar like earlier in the year, and that aired in 1997, the same year that the episode came out. And the funny thing about the first half of Gao Gaigar is there are so many scenes where it is literally one frame of white, one frame of black, one frame of whatever's actually happening, and it's just
can't.
And then you suddenly notice in the second half that that's all gone because Electric Soldier Porygon
came
happened.
in and changed everything because horrible shit happened.
But on the same kind of coin as that it is also a sort of slightly overblown controversy. Sure, it affected everything for the better, but at least in the way that the story's viewed or told now is that it was like happening to loads of kids. Whereas it was like kids would go into school and hear about it, and it was causing mass hysteria more so than
like I always heard like just on hearsay that it was like hundreds of Japanese kids and stuff, which I'm not sure is completely true.
Don't think so. I think it would have been a case in the like maybe 50s, 60s.
Yeah, I think I've heard like later on that the actual high like numbers were like in the 70s.
Yeah.
At most.
Yeah. So it was more a case of like these kids were hearing about it from friends or their parents were telling them about it.
And obviously that's still horrible, obviously.
Of course.
Like, that's a lot of kids to go into the hospital because of a TV show, but like
I think at most like people were feeling like nauseous or headaches from it, and again that could also be a symptom of the mass hysteria thing.
Exactly.
So
obviously this creepypasta tapped in a lot into that, and
it
just sort
very
of
much did, which is interesting because it dated as February 1996. Which is, you know, a whole year before that happened.
I know. Well, I mean, the actual story was probably written in like 2010.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just sort of going off that, like, this is what could have happened in another time.
Yeah.
The way Pokemon fucked everyone over. Anyway, there's also two more things I want to talk about.
Okay.
This was the serious thing about Lavender Town. I'm about to go headfirst into the stupid shit.
Okay.
And it revolves around two supposedly cut parts of the game.
Okay.
One is a cut Pokemon, and one is a cut boss fight.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
These don't sound familiar to me. So.
You will laugh your ass off.
Okay.
When you hear about these. I might ask you to pull up some images, but I think I can mainly just pull these up because like they're not like big overarching stories. They're basically just like this is what was originally supposed to happen.
Okay.
But there was one cut Pokemon said to be from these games called White Hand. You're gonna need to get a visual because just to get like the fucking stupidity of this. There you go.
I was imagining, the hand from Smash Bros. Brawl.
Yeah.
You know that? I was just imagining that.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a creepy version of that. Yeah. So the idea was originally that White Hand was supposed to. Yeah, we're getting to that.
Okay.
That's the boss fight.
Right. Okay.
So White Hand. The inspiration for this one, I'll just to like go off like that for a second, is that there's a line in the game, not near Lavender Town, but because Lavender Town's so creepy, it just ends up being associated with that.
Yeah.
But like you find one of the kids that's like, what's that like behind you? And then like it just goes, oh sorry, for a split second I thought there was a white hand on like your shoulder or something.
Okay.
Which is an actual line in the game.
Oh yeah, there it is.
I
That
see
white
it,
hand on your shoulder.
Yeah. In the actual game, I think it's supposed to be a kid just trying to freak you out and stuff because you're a stupid grown up.
Because you're about to enter.
Though you're only 10.
Yeah. Well, they're like 5.
Well, true.
So the white hand enemy was thought up to be a cut Pokemon that was actually supposed to be like a white hand and supposed to like fight you in that cave.
Doesn't
or
really
Lavender.
jive with
it
the rest
doesn't.
of the Pokemon designs.
What jives even less is the boss fight, which you've just noticed right there.
Buried alive?
Buried alive.
Okay.
He was originally supposed to be the boss fight in Lavender Town.
This is the boss fight?
Yes. This creature right here.
What?
You were originally supposed to fight him because he's a trainer. He's not a Pokemon, he's a trainer. You were originally supposed to find him at the top of the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town. He would pop up from like under the ground and be like, and he's got like dialogue that's like, I'm lonely, so very lonely. Won't you spend time with me?
I mean, I remember the actual Lavender Town. There were people mourning in there.
Yeah.
Lavender Town's like creepy and like I think pretty heavy for a kid's game.
Oh, absolutely. Which makes it right for this kind of stuff.
That's still a bit much.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Remember creepypasta.
Yeah.
But like he was supposed to come up, the battle would ensue, and you could fight him. He would have 2 white hand Pokemon that he would throw out because they're just intrinsically linked.
Yeah.
I mean, design-wise, you could even see here.
Yeah.
I know that if you're dear listener, if you don't know what we're talking about and like what these look like, please look them up in your own.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
have a phone.
Yeah,
you can
do it. But the idea was that you were supposed to fight him, and if you win, you continue on with the story completely normal. Like, that happens.
Okay, sure.
But if you lost, you'd get this game over screen.
Right, and you would have to start over.
Yeah, with the dialogue being finally fresh meat, and then you die.
Yeah, again, it doesn't really jive with the whole game.
And
yeah,
I can't remember.
I
can't remember the exact order this was supposed to go in, but I think like you'd lose the fight. Your Game Boy was supposed to like turn off.
Okay.
Or like a black screen was supposed to go in, and then you would turn it off. Then you turn it back on, try and restart the game, and this image would just be stuck on your cart forever. Because
ooh, spooky card.
Though that's not how.
This is the hard cut into stupid stuff when it comes to Lavender
that's
Town.
not how the Game Boy works, nor is it how the Game Boy's battery memory chips work either.
No, and if you look like very closely in like this game over screen, you can see there's red eyes in the fucking
of course
boss fights.
Sure, that's
because that's possible on a console that only works in monochrome.
Yeah, that has a green.
Yeah. So yeah, this is dumb. Most people agree that this is dumb.
Yeah.
But it's fun dumb.
Yeah, it's fun dumb, I guess.
I love the idea of this, that like just behind the scenes at Nintendo, they were just thinking like, I'm not sure about the whole buried alive character we put in Lavender Town. What if we just switch it out with a Marowak instead? Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's just some guy in the corner.
Like they had this idea and then they just changed their mind like halfway through.
Yeah.
Some versions of the story state that like, during development when they programmed it in, it would like break the game and they couldn't fix it. So that's why they changed it. Because,
151 Pokemon's fine. 152? Oh, that's fucked.
Nah, well, I mean, if 152 is like this weird demonic entity that breaks your game, I mean, that's just missing note, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mainly all I really want to talk about with Lavender Town, both the serious smart side of the creepypastas and the just dumb shit. There's so much more Lavender Town stories you can find on the internet because it's just a treasure trove.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it's shit, some of it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's just to give you a sort of idea of what you can find.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling through.
Yeah, you
these
really
images.
are just scrolling through a bunch of stuff now.
I was hoping there would be like some kind of like fan art or something.
Nah.
But no.
You got this card.
Yeah, there's a card. It's not really related.
It's called White Hand.
X. Sure.
But yeah, that's Lavender Town basically.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard Lavender Town before, but this is the first I've heard of White Hand and Buried Alive.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Probably for good reason.
Yeah, it's a little dumb.
I brought those ones up specifically because those ones I heard like a lot, like a decade ago, and like other extra shit like, oh, he's in other games and stuff. You can find him like in this super secret, like very specific stuff you've got to do. Very much playing off of how you're supposed to get Mew in the original games, which is a whole collection of glitches and stuff. He's not under the truck though.
No. No.
There is actually one more creepy thing I will talk about in Pokemon, and that's a fan theory.
Okay.
Not really creepypasta. It's the idea that related to Lavender Town is you can find your rival Blue, or Gary, however you want to call him. He's named Gary in the anime, but he's Blue, depending if you're playing Pokemon Red, or he's named Red if you're playing Pokemon Blue, and blah, 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 blah. But you can fight him in Lavender Town, and the thing is, he's missing one of his Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
Because in the last fight you had with him, which was on the SS Anne, which is a yacht you can like go on to, like through the story. He has, I think, 3 or 4 Pokemon, and one of them is a Raticate.
Okay.
You fight him, you beat him because Blue sucks.
Yeah. All of the rivals suck.
Yeah, they really do. But you continue on the adventure, and the next time you see him is in Lavender Town in the Pokemon Tower, where he goes, "What are you doing here? You're not mourning anyone." Sort of implying that he's there to mourn like either a person or a Pokemon that you lost, and then you fight him. And
Bit of a dick move.
I know.
Yeah.
He is a dick.
A death that is only for me? What the hell are you doing here?
But like you fight him, and in game, and this is very real, he doesn't have his Raticate anymore.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's disappeared. So
which isn't something that typically happens because it's typically a scaling thing.
Like he gets more and more Pokemon as it goes on. But you know what, his Raticate disappears from the game after that, and the implication seems to be that his Raticate died like
It's
after
a nice
you
little
fought
touch.
him. Yeah. Like the idea is that maybe he couldn't find a Pokemon Center in time to save his Raticate after fainting, so like you kind of killed it
But
by accident.
Wouldn't all of his other Pokemon need to be?
That's my question.
Yeah.
And it's never brought up in the fan theory is the thing. It's only
'Cause you
Raticate
need
that disappears.
to beat all of a trainer's Pokemon to win the fight.
Yeah.
So that would mean all of his Pokemon, all 3 or 4 of them,
Yeah.
would need to be taken to the Pokemon Center and healed up.
Yeah.
Not just the Raticate. Yeah. Like, so that doesn't...
Yeah, it's weird. That's what makes me like sort of question if this is intentional or not.
Yeah, I feel like
it does sort of sync up with why he's there in the Pokemon Tower
Yeah.
and stuff, and like it is kind of creepy.
it could be something that happened off screen. It doesn't necessarily need to be our doing.
Like that's
as a player.
that's an idea of what the reason it could have been, but there's nothing in the game that actually like states why it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just something you just sort of piece together
Yeah.
by like the battles. I think might have been an explanation later on by one of the devs that actually like for some reason like the Raticate in that fight just sort of fucked up with some of the code, and that's why they changed it to like maybe another Pokemon in that fight. But I don't know if I've just made that up or not in my spot, and I've just misremembered.
Is it possible that maybe like Lavender Town was meant to be reached earlier?
I think that might be like an idea of why.
Yeah, because that would make a little more sense as if things had been reordered and
I think
the
there might
programming just never got updated to reflect that.
There's tons of speculation on why. I'm trying to remember if that was like an actual dev like said that at some point, or if I'm just misremembering something.
Yeah, running through my logical like conclusions to all this, I can only think that Lavender Town was originally meant to be reached earlier in a different sort of like build of the game.
And then just like as development went along, they felt it was better here, just either pacing wise or just the way the story went.
Or there's just a coding issue where they're like,
I lean probably towards a coding issue, but I mean there is genuinely creepy stuff in the Pokemon game, so it's not impossible to think that maybe they thought to add this in as a little
and then just were like, don't look into it. It doesn't work. If you think about it, it's a little fun touch. Oh, the one out, huh?
At the end of the day, it's a game.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it's meant to be like you killed.
Yeah, I think that people sort of jump to that because it goes, hey, you see, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
I remember it was always linked to that sort of
he's just
like
a dick, so you know.
Yeah. You're probably not the only person.
There's a high chance that he just put Raticate in like a box or something.
That's
fuck, I forgot to feed him.
Yeah, it's a Raticate. Yeah, I think I finished up my little bit of the story now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was our little scary story sesh.
Nice way to start off Spooky Month.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the first one coming out in the month.
It will be.
Yeah. Okay.
So
come back next time.
Come back next time for where we talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Dracula. Very mixed bag.
Can't wait for you to hear that.
Can't wait for you to hear that. These are both extended episodes. They're both running a little bit longer.
On purpose.
So yeah. You can see all the stuff on screen. You can do whatever you want with that. Hit that subscribe button. Go down into the
ring that spooky bell.
Go down below and leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite fucking story is, I guess.
yeah. I hope it's one
mine. Mine was better.
I kind of meant more in general, not just like of what we've talked about.
This is gonna cause a rift.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.